Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm your host, Cass McGill. We're here at the Education Centre at the separate school board to talk about an important program that's occurring at Clair College called the Dual Credit Program. And just to give you some context and background, not so long ago, high school students, when they fell out of high school, dropped out of high school for various reasons, sometimes didn't feel so comfortable to get back in there because now they've become 2 or 3 years older. They didn't feel that it was their setting where they could get back into the marketplace of education. But the ministry, in conjunction with the community colleges in St. Clair, have now designed a program that would allow them not only to take a high school credit, but a St. Clair College credit to get them back into the marketplace for preparing them for the career. And I think that's an amazing thing. When I went to visit St. Clair and hear the students' stories, I was really impressed by their honesty and their integrity and their willingness. And something kind of wonderful is happening at St. Clair, that these people are now motivated by the educational process and getting their life back together again. And I think this is a great story. And I would ask Art Barron, who's the administrator at St. Clair College for this program, to maybe tell us, Art, how this began and what's the history behind it.
Yeah, my name is Art Barron. I'm the supervisor of youth development programs at St. Clair College. And about 5 years ago, we started with the dual credit program at St. Clair College. We started with a pilot project of about 17 students. And that was for the whole year, and for this semester alone we have just over 400 students. The dual credit program is sort of split between regular high schools that can send grade 12 students to St. Clair College one afternoon a week, and they take a course of interest. But the people you see represented here are from our school within a college program, and you'll hear the word SWAC a lot. That's what that's referring to, where these are students who, for one reason or another, came to a point in their lives where they had to drop out of school. And so this program draws them back into school by bringing them to the college rather than to a high school. They have a secondary school teacher who helps them with their Englishes and their maths and all that kind of stuff. And then they also take college courses for which they get a college credit and a high school credit, and that's why it's called a dual credit.
Okay. Thanks, Art. I appreciate that. We also have 2 representatives from the local boards of education here, Angela and Susan. So, Angela Bondi, tell us, I'm not giving you your full name, so maybe you should introduce yourself, give us your full name, and tell us how that is important to the local public board.
Thanks. My name's Angela Cialarello Bondi. My position at the board is teacher consultant of re-engagement and alternative education, and one of the great parts of my job is I get to call students back who have left our system without graduating, and I call them back one by one and invite them back to come to school. And because they have, like Cass has said, it's been a couple years and they're older, they don't necessarily want to go to the high school they were at. So having the SWAC program at St. Clair gives me a great opportunity to place these students in a building where they're with their peers, and they also get to experience college life at the same time.
Okay, Angela, I appreciate that. Just a little forgetfulness on my part, you'll also see a group of students here from Assumption who I kind of forced into this conversation. I'm just joking, guys. But they are also going to reflect on what they've heard, and I appreciate your participation in the program. The representative from the separate school board, Susan, maybe tell us what your position is and why this is an important program for you as well.
My name is Susan Friedel, and I'm a coordinator here at the board, and I coordinate the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. I coordinate guidance, experiential learning, including all co-op programs, and as well the dual credit program. And having students develop a pathway plan is key to their future. So my portfolio revolves all around those programs. So what's interesting about this program is, and it's re-engaging our students, because without a high school diploma, their labor market opportunities are so limiting. So that is so important that these students have taken up the task to return to school to finish their high school diploma, because and then from there they will decide, it'll lead them to a pathway where they plan to pursue post-secondary education or apprenticeship training, etc. But first and foremost, they have to get that high school diploma to get them on the right path.
Okay, thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. And Heather is from Chatham, and I'm so glad that Heather has joined us from Chatham, because there is a program at Chatham too. And I think when I talked to Heather and her students at St. Clair, I was really impressed by the views and the stories behind their students. Heather, maybe you could tell us what you represent from your program and the students you represent.
My name is Heather Burke, and I'm a teacher for the Lambton-Kent District School Board, and I am the School Within a College teacher at St. Clair College, the Thames campus in Chatham. And so my job basically is to invite students, as has been mentioned previously, students who've been disengaged from high school, and my job is to invite them back to high school into my SWAC classroom, where we are going to be working on some correspondence work as well as the dual credit piece from the college, in the hopes that the students will be able to graduate and then move on to college after they're done.
Okay, so now we got a kind of a broad view of what the programs means to the boards of education, and the most important thing, not the most important thing, but equally important, is the view of the students. So I know of Cassidy over there, and she's so anxious. I can see that she wants to tell her story, but I'm so happy you're here, Cassidy. Tell us how you got involved in the program, what happened with your high school career, and how you engaged in the Sinclair program and what it means to you.
Well, my name is Cassidy Jones, and well, I guess it started in elementary. I was bullied a lot throughout elementary, and then high school came, and I tried a lot to fit in and got myself involved with some bad people, with some bad choices, and doing bad things. Later then, I had also some family issues, and stuff went wrong. I was put into a women's shelter, and school just wasn't important to me. And then I went to St. Mike's. I went to St. Mike's, and they offered this program to me, and at first I really didn't want to do it because I was done with school at that point. And then once I don't know, something just convinced me, and probably my teachers. Chris was a big influence, and now I love it. I love going to school. I love waking up. I get to redo the choices that I wish I would have done properly the first time, and it's basically just restarting.
Well, thank you. Appreciate your viewpoints, Cassidy. And I know you're always teasing the guy beside you there, Chris. He probably wants to disappear right now, but I'm not going to let you disappear. Because when I was at Sinclair, I could hear the students being so positive about your intervention. So, Chris, what is it about this program? I know you've taught an alternative program for a long time. Maybe you should explain what alternative programming is to our audience, and also tell us why this program, in your eyes, is important for these young people.
Well, an alternative program allows students just an alternate pathway to get to their goals. So whether it's an apprenticeship pathway, a workplace pathway, a college pathway, the alternative program gives those students that opportunity to reach those goals. So traditional high school students will follow through a 4-year program, for example, and then be able to move to post-secondary or into the work environment. Alternative students tend to take breaks, and just because of life issues, they will, have to take some time off. And then when they come back to high school, we want to make sure that they still have those same opportunities to be able to complete whatever pathways they choose to complete.
And getting back across the table here, Shelby, you told us your story of how you had to leave high school for personal reasons, how you've overcome your situation, and also tell us why this program has motivated you to continue on with your education. Shelby.
Well, it motivated me a lot because of my 2 young kids. They need me to have a job more than I need myself to have a job. So I did it more for them, main reason.
But you got pregnant during school, and you had to leave school, and
Yeah, well, they were my motivation to go back to school.
Yeah. Has that been a struggle, or why is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about the struggle?
Yeah, when I started, I had an 8-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, so that's a lot of work on top of it. My home life wasn't the best living situation. It was really stressful. I would have rather been at school than at home at that point. Would have been more comfortable in a classroom than at home.
Tell us the difference between going to Sinclair, for example, Shelby, and going to a high school. What makes the Sinclair program so important and different and meaningful to you?
Well, they treat you like adults. Like if I was in the situation I was in and still going to high school, I would have just skipped and not went at all. But I would have rather been at school because I felt more comfortable, more safe. I had people that I knew and liked and got along with, and it was a lot better than going to high school and dealing with tons of other kids and drama and stuff like that. You're adults, you're all adults, you're all going in to do your work and go home. and that's it. It's not a party or like fun or skipping, it's adults.
So Art, when it comes to this program working, in your eyes, what is it that makes like a teacher like Chris change? What do they change that's different in the high school setting that obviously works for this program to be successful?
Well, in a regular high school setting, these guys know there's 20, 30 kids in a class. A teacher does their best to engage all of the students, but there's some times where somebody that are in this situation, like Shelby with a child, or you with a family situation, they need one-on-one attention. They need somebody to listen to them. They need somebody to lend them an ear. And in a regular high school, that's tough to do. But in this program, our teachers have the luxury of being able to get to know every single student and know their story. And the credit to these teachers, these stories are sometimes hard to hear. And so they pour their lives into these students. And for some of them, and I don't know if that's the case around this table, but for some of them, it's the first time anybody's ever really validated them. First time anybody's really listened to them, truly listened to them, and said, you know what, I'm going to help you. And that's what this program does best.
So listening to this, Victoria, student from Assumption here, I know when we had this discussion this morning, you were kind of taken back in a meaningful way of what the stories you heard. How does that impact upon you?
It impacts me especially because hearing their stories, I have a connection with this, having relatives and family that have been involved in these situations. So I believe that this is a second chance, and what they're saying is another opportunity, and I wish that it became more openly discussed within society, is because you feel like your self-confidence is down. I've witnessed this, I've seen it happen in my own family, and I wish that my family members have had the opportunity that these students have had, and that they follow along the same path, because I truly believe that what they're saying is true, and that it really is a life-changing experience.
Becky, or Victoria, Becky, you're sitting beside Chris here, and I know you had a story that I think is important. The reason I ask you to share your stories is because I think you're role models for a lot of young people coming through the system. If they hear, like Art has said, validating your story, that you are dignified, people who are going to make a change in the world in terms of getting a job. Tell us how you again became involved in this program and the reasons why it's so beneficial for you.
Well, my name is Becky Murray. I got involved in this program because I had some personal issues that carried on from grade school into high school, and it became a little bit difficult to handle, and that on top of some health issues, I had to make the decision to drop out. And I ended up going to St. Mike's for a co-op placement, and that's where I met Chris, and he introduced me to the SWAC program. And immediately when I read in more about it, I thought it was a really, really good opportunity. And it's really refreshing to have people who are on your side and who actually believe in you and really want you to succeed, because sometimes you kind of need that extra push.
I know, Heather, when I had a conversation with you in Chatham, tell us the early days when you started, how many were in there, and what it took to make this program become such a success. Just to re-emphasize, about 3 years ago, there were 30 people in the program. Today, there's 400. And I don't know if we've met all the needs of our community by that. Maybe Susan can tell us that. But how has it changed, and why has it changed such dramatically?
Well, the SWAC program in Chatham itself has changed a lot since the early days. When I first started the program, I had about 12 students my first semester. And at that time, we were all really new and weren't really sure what it was all going to look like or how it was going to play out. So in the early years, I was focused on getting these students their education, because that's what the goal was, to get them to graduate from high school. But over time, I started to realize that all of the students were in my classroom for a reason, and part of the reason was because of the struggles that they had in the past. And so I started to think education itself isn't the problem. It's not academics. It's everyone that was coming across was completely capable of doing the work, but other things were getting in the way. And so I started to think I need to look at those other things. And so the SWAC program in Chatham has evolved drastically. And now we do things like having guest speakers come in once a week. We have a nutrition program, so food is available for students every day that they're in the classroom. Once a month we go on to field trips, and all of these opportunities, we also volunteer together as a class every week. And all of these opportunities are there to help push the students outside of their own comfort zone, to help show them that positive things are happening in the world, to teach them that they can be a part of positive things. It feels good to volunteer and to give back, to build a sense of community within the classroom so that whatever idea they had or whatever sour taste they might have had in their mouth about their original high school experience, I was hoping to alleviate that, and so that they could leave high school feeling really good about their experience. Everyone is welcome, everyone is encouraged, and we want people to grow as people.
Okay, and I think that's a wonderful introduction. And maybe later down the road, Susan, we could talk about the difference between what they experienced in high school and why they dropped out versus why this program is so important. But maybe, and Natasha, I know you too had to drop out of school, similar to Shelby, and you overcome it in a very meaningful way. Maybe tell our audience and our students why you dropped out and what that experience meant to you.
I dropped out of school because I moved when I was at a young age. My living arrangements when I moved were not anywhere that anyone would want to live. I became pregnant, so I never went back to school after I dropped out, and it wasn't until I had removed myself with my young child from the living arrangements that I was in that I went back to school for a year after, and then I found work in Alberta, so I moved, and then when I came back I was too old to go back to high school, and I knew that I had to do something to obtain my grade 12, and I was introduced to the SWAC program, and that's where I went and achieved my grade 12.
Maybe tell us, Natasha, what was going through your mind when you dropped out? Did you feel like you were, the quote-unquote, that loser, that you were a failure, that other people of your age group were you jealous of them because they didn't have the problems that you had? What was your mindset?
I wasn't jealous because I knew that the decisions that I had made turned out where I was. I never felt like a loser because I worked for a living, right? I went to work every day, I paid my daycare, I paid my rent, and that's how I did things. So I didn't see myself as uneducated, I see myself as educated in other ways. But now that I've obtained my grade 12, I definitely feel more accomplished in life.
Angela, I hear these people talk, and I'm so impressed by their self-confidence and their ability to think things through. That must be a positive thing for you to say.
Yes, it's one of the very rewarding parts of my job is when you call a student and you ask them to come back to school, and immediately in their head they think, I don't want to go back to that school. And they don't realize the different opportunities, SWAC, dual credit, co-op. They don't necessarily have to step back into a traditional school building. So once you get past that hurdle with them, and then you provide the supports with great teachers like Heather and Chris and Dave, and you see them blossom into these fabulous young adults, it's really rewarding, and you get to look at your job and say, okay, we are doing something good here.
Susan, you must feel the same, because at the end, everybody around the table I hear I'm not trying to be dramatic, but they are interesting, dignified people that supposedly, and I'll get feedback from Kieran and people like him, that were through the loser category. Aren't you impressed by them, and how meaningful is that to you as a person involved in this program?
Well, like Angela, I too congratulate everyone here that you're conquering your fears, and I think with failure we start to get fearful of getting back into the arena, and I think that happened for many of these students here, and they've taken that leap of faith that I can do this, and that takes a lot of courage, and really in today's society, how we learn is through failure. Without failure, we can't have innovation. Our society now needs people who have gone through failure, because with failure they learn from it, and these will be our future innovators in our society. I believe these people right here at our table. because they are the resilient ones. They've come back and they haven't given up. And so I really, really commend them, and I look forward to seeing how their paths shape up in the future.
I haven't forgotten you guys over there, but Kieran, I'm looking at you because you're sitting here, and I'm going to pick on you today, but you're in a comfort zone, you're successful, I think, in your academic career, you don't have the struggles that these young people have up here. How does that impact upon you in terms of what you've heard and how meaningful it is that we give them this second chance?
I believe that all the people here, like sitting here, are actually quite role models, because, you know, decisions that you've made in the past, whether you like them or not, shouldn't define you. The things after you do, those are what define you, and the SWAC program gives these students the ability to improve themselves, maybe from what they thought they didn't need or that they needed.
Yeah, picking up on what Kieran said, I also think that, like, what you did in the past shouldn't make everyone think, oh, well, this person doesn't deserve to be acknowledged, or just because of a bad decision they made, or because they were forced to do something and it wasn't good. So the SWAC program, basically, it helps to give them a better future and to help them to recover from certain problems they had earlier in life, and it makes them better for it.
Brandon here, because Brandon's an athlete, everybody, and Brandon had a great time at school and being an athlete, but he forgot his academics in the meantime, and he's sort of, and he has a good, strong personality, so he knows I'm not teasing. Well, I am teasing you, Brandon, but tell us your story, Brandon, and how you overcome that.
High school was fun for me, playing sports, being involved in everything, but it was a struggle at the same time with academics. Coming right into grade 9, failed a couple courses, then you go into grade 10 and you fail a couple more, and now you start, I kind of accepted that role that I was just failing classes, but I still wanted to play my sports, and academics were just whatever. And it turned around and it hit me now. Now I gotta, SWAC is the program where playing sports, you learn that you have to overcome adversity, and failing those classes, SWAC gives me that chance to overcome the adversity, the failures that I had in high school, and now I got that chance to get those credits back while still being involved in my school. I can still play sports. That's one of the main things I love about this. I'm still eligible to stay in my high school sports as well as get the rest of the credits that I need to graduate.
Okay. And Brandon, like, if for the sake of argument, you didn't have the chance to go to St. Clair, what difference would that have been if you had to complete your high school at high school? Tell us the difference that would have meant to you.
In coming to St. Clair, how that helps, I love the difference of high school and St. Clair. They treat you like an adult. One of the main things, just something like, again, overcoming adversity. A small thing, like when I got my St. Clair student card, I went home and I bragged on my family, this is my student card, you know what I mean? I'm at St. Clair now, I'm a student, you know what I mean? You get that positive, that confidence that you can do it. I love being in the environment, I love the dual credits, and again, when you got to that stage where you accepted failure, you thought I thought I wouldn't even make it to college, make it to university. Now I'm here, I'm in the college courses, I'm getting the credits, right? And I'm involved with the college. It's a good opportunity, I love it.
So Art, you're sitting there as proud as a peacock because you hear these guys tell the stories, but they're genuine stories, and you got to sit back and say, we're doing something that's meaningful.
Yeah, I'm passionate about this program. You know, I get the graduation ceremony we have. We've had now 3 of them in Chatham, and I get emotional every year because you see these guys cross the finish line that a year ago were sitting on their couch or had no hope of graduation, and because of the team building and all of the stuff we do along the way, they're not just getting an education. They're actually realizing their potential. We've said that a couple of times now, and you see them start to think about college and they think about their future Whereas a year before that, they weren't thinking about their future. They were just thinking about, how do I pay my rent today?
Right.
You know, so it's so gratifying to be able to see these guys and how far they come within a very short amount of time.
And where's Max? Who has the young man over at the side there? You're in Jacob? Jacob, tell us, again, I give you the same background as Kieran here. You're in a pretty nice comfort zone. But if you had to go through the experiences that these folks have gone through, for example, kicked out of the house, having to go for a job, look after yourself in terms of your basic needs, come to school, do you think you can handle it?
It'd be a lot to take on. I find that all these people here have had a lot of, basically a lot has come their way, and I don't know personally how I would have overcome all these obstacles. It would have been a lot for me to take on. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start, to be quite honest. It's just, there's just a lot coming at your way, and you have to find a way to cope with it. And these people here have found a way to do that, and I haven't had that, I'm not going to say chance, but I haven't had that that come my way yet, so I haven't been able to actually see how I would react with all of this or deal with it. So, and then on top of this, with this SWAC program it's coming in, it's helping them give another opportunity to like catch up with all their, with all the stuff that they might have missed. So in essence, it's a very good program that allows people to, you know, to kind of catch up all the time they might have lost with all their academics. And so it's just, in general, it's a great way to help the student, or help these students get back on track.
And Chris, coming back to you again, because you're in the front line as a teacher, I firmly believe that not all teachers could handle this program in the way that maybe you can. And I know I'm putting you on a kind of a pedestal, but it's the same thing, Susan, I guess, with certain things and certain kids have certain learning styles. You have to have that personality. And what's the difference, for example, from a teaching point of view? Sometimes you just drop the academics and say it's not appropriate today, and you look at the person. You want to comment on that?
Absolutely. The academics is there. The students can do the academics. It's not, like, I'm always surprised that the students are shocked that they do so well on their assignments. But it's not just about those academics. There are certainly days when students will come in and need to vent. We'll call it venting. And then we'll put school aside that day. And the college gives them that environment to go ahead. They don't have to be in the classroom. So the college also gives them that opportunity to, you know what, go out for a smoke, go to the CAF, go to Tim Hortons, those kind of things where students will have that opportunity to spread out a little bit, you know, be with their peers and vent if they have to, and then be able to come back focused.
I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. Let's role model the venting process. A student comes in, tell us what happens, and specifically, and how you handle it from the gracious perspective that you are. Because if you don't tell the truth, there's going to be 10 people here who are going to put their hand up and tell us what really happened.
Well, the students start their day.